Hi everyone, and welcome to the All Things ITSM Global Podcast. We're coming to you from ITSM 15 in London. I'm Kirsty McGowan. I'm here with Rob Stroud.
Welcome.
Simone Moore.
Hi everyone.
And it's our pleasure to be chatting with Toby Moore this afternoon, the new Community Manager for AXELOS. Congratulations on the new role, Toby.
Well, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here.
It's certainly a change from your previous role as well. So, Community Manager for AXELOS, what is that going to mean for ITSM?
Luckily for me, it doesn't mean sitting on Twitter all day.
No. We thought that's what you did.
I don't even have access to the
Hang
Twitter
on, isn't that what
account.
community managers do?
Yeah, I think traditionally.
Yeah.
We're going to try and break some barriers.
Oh.
No, actually the role is more focused on content and then how that relates to the professional development scheme that AXELOS is launching next year.
Yeah.
So it'll be about connecting the sort of the frontline content that we create, both educational and more sort of the more sort of easy and digestible content, and then how that relates to people feeding through to our professional development schemes.
So, Toby, that's a big change, I think, from living in Tokyo, of course. I had to bring that in, but which city do you prefer better, Tokyo or London?
Definitely Tokyo. much more. It's a simpler city to live in.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. But moving on to the real content of today, I mean, one of the interesting concepts at the moment in ITSM is getting that linkage back to the generation which you're an example of, the millennials, right? We need to make that connection and drive their interest. And one of the ways that that's done is the millennials communicate differently. How does that fit into your agenda?
I mean, I traditionally don't enjoy sort of talking about generations in age usually, but it is becoming something for me to think about a lot harder now in my particular role. I think the reason for that is because, especially early on in my career in ITSM, a lot of people look to me to be the voice of young people in the sector, and I just thought that almost the most cringe-worthy role to have.
It's a compliment, really.
Yes and no, I think, and the challenge is that I think it's very difficult to typecast people into that respect. And actually, the example I used to use a lot was, especially when I had younger friends that hadn't quite come into the workplace yet, was that, for example, my mother, who was a director of a charity, didn't use social media. She does now, she's very good at it, but back then she didn't use social media, but she had a very strong understanding of how it fit in to promoting and marketing their services and the research that they do as a charity. My friends who are very active on social media had no flippant idea how it plays its part into business.
Right, they just used it.
Absolutely, yeah. So from that point of view, there's that expectation on the youth. It's to say, oh, you get social media, so you must understand how we use social media to promote our brand or how we use it internally or whatever. And that's just not the case. So I think you have to look at these things from a role point of view rather than a generational point of view.
That's a nice comment, actually, and I think that's in the session I just did on the Internet of Things, that's one of the things I was talking about, is that we actually need to understand the business function or the role rather than necessarily just the, oh, you're young so you understand it.
Yes.
But the reality of it is, though, how are we going to adjust the skills? What are you thinking in terms of the skills adjustment that we might have to make in the industry right now to allow for DevOps, SIAM, Internet of Things, all these future things that are coming in front of us?
I think you do have to think quite further down the line, and it is about tying it back to what businesses try to achieve, and then bring it back to what skills do you need in order to achieve those things. At the same time, you've got to look at what awareness is and what skills are coming out of universities and colleges and things. I mean, I didn't go to university, so what skills did I have coming out of whatever it is that I came out of, and then how do people, and especially at that very early stage in my career, I probably didn't recognise these qualities in myself. It took, good managers and leaders sort of around me in order to put me in the roles that were best suited to the things that I was becoming good at, or learning to enjoy getting good at.
Do you find then it's more a talent management focus, putting people in the right roles, rather than saying, I've got X, Y skill, and because you have it, I'll put you there, but that's not necessarily where it suits their talent?
I think what I've been thinking a lot about recently is that thing I just mentioned, which is what do you enjoy learning at and improving in?
What do you have a passion for?
Yes.
Yeah, and actually sometimes you don't even know.
Yeah.
It's just about, sometimes you don't even recognise when you're progressing in something, and like I said, it takes a good manager or a leader to see that in you.
Yeah, you can
and
see it from
pointing
the
you in right
outside. It's
direction.
very hard to recognise it in yourself.
Yeah, I think so. And how do you, it's through good coaching and mentoring of people entering the workplace to help them discover, okay, so actually in the last 6 months you've been working on this and working on this, but I don't think you've enjoyed it very much. Like you said to me 6 months ago that you want to get so much better at programming or something, and actually we've realised that although you've excelled a lot in that area, I don't really see you getting much of a kick out of it.
No.
But when you start going out into the business and talking about all of the benefits that the work that we're doing as a department is having on them, and all of the great things that we can develop in the future, you seem to really come alive when you talk about that stuff. And I think there's a lot of space for you to grow when you do that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly that person starts to understand what they think their career might look like through what they've enjoyed developing in, even if that wasn't why they were brought into the organisation in the first place.
So do you think then there's that gap where we need some skills development with the managers and the leaders? Because, coming from the HR background that I've had, when all the HR managers disappeared those decades ago, all those responsibilities got given to the line managers, but they weren't given those skill sets of necessarily coaching and leading and those sorts of things. So do you still see that gap is there?
I think the biggest problem that organisations face with recruiting management is that still so many businesses promote based on the skills that they see in the existing role. Right. So many people, service desk managers, IT managers, IT directors all tend to come up through their technical abilities still and their ability to implement technology.
Yes.
And even actually as someone who's even actually as a good customer facing person. So that's something that we've been really trying to push on IT departments to recognise. Just because they're good at managing customers' expectations, it doesn't mean they're necessarily very good at line managing people and managing their staff's expectations. It's a very different skill set.
It is. It's that whole principle of you promote someone until they can't do their job anymore, and then that's where they stay.
As a great story, Tim, I mean, I was the education company I used to work at some time ago. We had a management conference one time, and I remember talking to one of the other guys I was sitting with who was sort of a group manager of a number of schools. And he had been helping coach one of the teachers to move up into a management position. And and had successfully done so, and this had-been teacher had moved into a more sort of school administrative principal role, and within 12 months had decided it was the wrong decision for them. They actually much more enjoyed teaching and being student facing, and then they realised that it was a mistake, and through good management that group manager was able to manage them back down into a role that they actually enjoyed and found fulfilling.
So sometimes are we still stuck when we do performance reviews that some managers are just still stuck and saying, well, no, you're supposed to progress. You can't stay where you are, and yet some people do want to do that.
I've had staff before who you ask them questions about what they want to do and how they want to progress, and they don't know. They don't know, and you can coach them through, and you can find, okay, so what have you, and like as an example is one of the staff I was managing just had no idea, and then we started talking about things that they could improve on. I won't say what it is actually, because then they'll know who they are. But I managed,
you know who you are.
Yeah, no, that's right. Luckily, I've managed a few people in my time. So, but it's it was all about asking the questions about what do you suck at, and you actually want to become so much. You feel like that thing is holding you back in progressing in your role, even if it's not getting a promotion or getting a pay rise or whatever. It's just about what's holding you back in fulfilling your things right now, and do you see that actually, if you were to fill that gap, do you think you would become a better worker?
So, getting back to what you're going to do going forward in the community role, what do you see as your if you had to name 3 objectives for the next 12 months, 3 areas you're going to make a difference. What
You
were they?
stole my question.
Hopefully you won't steal my answer.
Of course we will. We want to use the knowledge.
So actually the first thing I need to do is start working on a technology platform that will enable us to deliver better content, and then allow that to seamlessly link into professional development as well. So if you're reading white papers, contributing blogs through the community, helping people with their own problems and discussing that in a forum environment.
Right.
How do we create the sort of gamified elements around that?
Got it.
And then how
Right.
does that actually directly contribute towards the professional development schemes that you're pursuing? That's the first challenge. Objective 1.
Yeah.
Objective 2 is to start just building stronger relationships throughout the community.
Yeah.
Both the training companies that are out there, and then the software companies that we're not currently working with very much. And obviously from SITS, I've got strong ties with the software companies. So, and then finally, which the senior leadership team are already doing a lot of work around, is how do we start complementing more with the ITSMF, the BCS, all of those sorts of groups, and making sure that we're collaborating rather than competing, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, which has always been the objective, by the way, from
Yeah,
day one of
it has.
AXELOS.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it'll be good to see that hopefully come to fruition with someone actually in that role to make it happen, because it's not going to happen without someone like you in there to really push it through.
Well, I hope that's a compliment.
It is, and we're expecting big things from you, Toby. So,
Not to put the pressure on.
No, we're going to put the pressure on. We want to see what happens. So
I was just going to leave it a compliment.
Yeah. No. We just want to put the pressure on.
Like my mother-in-law now.
We'll be looking forward to having another chat with you in another 6 months or 12 months' time to see what you've accomplished.
Yeah, when I'm a tired man. Great.
Well, thanks a lot for your time this afternoon,
Thank you very
Toby.
much,
It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.